confused mind state in the arts today?
I think there's a direct connection between the confusion of people's mind states due to the lack of connection of culture with in regards to the dance, because you have so many people. I mean, let's put it this way: on television, you're not getting a real representation of any of the dance art forms that you see. You're getting their idea of what it should be, not the actual way. Again, I'll use jazz. What you are taught as jazz dance is a watered down form of ballet. It has nothing to do with jazz. Jazz is a music. It's a whole culture to it. The dances that go with jazz, you don't learn in jazz dance. They have nothing to do with the music. That's what will happen to hip hop. Hip hop is a culture that has dances in it. Jazz was a culture of music and art and style, and they've completely removed the cultural part of that from the equation. So now what you have is something that's, homogenized so that anybody can do it, and that's what will happen. And that's what you don't want to happen, because, jazz is preserved. The essence of it is preserved in what we do now as hip hop. We've brought back that essence through our culture. We've just recaptured that without any direct connection to it, because the original hip hop heads didn't know much about jazz. There were no jazz classes in the streets. There were no jazz classes, jazz musicians teaching the DJs. The DJs listened. That connection is spiritual. Art is spiritual. And once you connect through art, you're connecting on a higher level. The higher level is a spiritual level. That goes beyond the physical. Nothing happens physically until it happens spiritually. And that's what we're not. You don't learn that. They don't teach you that. They don't want you to know that. They want you to dilute everything into these, little bitty, components that they can control, and when you have freedom of expression, you're beyond control.
What's the importance of passing on that message to the younger generation of dancers that are coming up? And what do you think they will benefit from it?
Well, passing on information is important because it's history. And that's another thing that we are lacking. We don't learn the connections. The connections from the past is what help you realize what's coming, help you, create what you want. If you don't know where you came from, then how are you to know where you're going? What gives you, the past is what gives you direction to the future. One of the things that always amazes me is when I look at, the original jazz dance and not, what people call jazz in the studio now, but jazz dance to jazz music, i.e., Lindy Hop, the Big Apple, the Black Bottom, those things. Those dances are almost an exact replica of hip hop from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and that connection opens up, a whole another level of expression, because I'll use one step in general, the Charleston. The Charleston is one of the most famous dancers in the whole American lexicon. Now, when you use the Charleston, you can connect the Charleston to so many dances that came after. The Charleston has a direct connection to b-boy, because the step in b-boying called a Charlie Rock is the Charleston. It has a direct connection in freestyle hip hop. What we call the kid and play kick step is the Charleston. It has a direct connection to what the kids are doing now. What they call a SpongeBob is what we call the party machine, or the crisscross, which is the scissor kick Charleston. And what they call the lock-in Get Light, same thing. It's a variation of the Charleston. Now, if you know these things, you can look at all these things. That creates newer ideas because you can see what they did before, see what the kids are doing now, and that'll give you an idea to what can I do between that? That gives you another idea. That opens up your mind to another possibility. That's what the past is for, to open up your mind to a newer possibility to create a better future. And the future isn't set in stone. It's fluid. What you do now determines what's going to happen, and what you've done determines what you do now. So it's all a timeline, and without that before, you can't have after.